Hi guys, I'm Delia from A Few Grey Hairs, and I'm joined this morning with Boo. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Hi, lovely to be with you.
Awesome.
Thanks for choosing me as, what can I say, navigator for my story to
Wonderful.
others. And
Yes. We are really wanting to chat with Marilyn because we get to meet a lot of different women, and Marilyn has had quite a unique story, and she has a unique outlook to how she's treating herself. And we have been able to see her journey and just blossom. And I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for her to share with other women who are possibly going through something similar or about to journey through it, her experience. And one of the things that we also wanted to talk to you about, Boo, is the experience of wearing and choosing your own hair. You came through to Liz and I, and we discussed the option. We harvested your hair, your beautiful, beautiful hair, and we recreated your own hairstyle in a wig. Maybe we should start there.
oh, that's a good start.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that just the opportunity, which obviously I wasn't aware of, because whilst I've been familiar with other members of family, I don't know anybody else that's ever harvested their hair or had the privilege or the suggestion. And I think that just created a wonderful way of just remaining whole. So you could just lessen the trauma of not having anything that belonged to you. And also, even if you choose not to use your own hair, perhaps somebody else could, which is a wonderful benefit, but also not to just wait until your hair falls out so spontaneously, and it, I'm sure, is very traumatic. Yeah. And then just to, be in touch with yourself in terms of each section, from cutting your hair short to having the treatment, and people do and don't lose their hair, but just to go through the motions of knowing that will happen, but that you can recreate your own self by having this wonderful privilege of, keeping your own hair. And
I know that you chose to make use of a halo in the time that it took Liz and myself to make your wig. Now, just to share with the community, is that a halo is something that is worn with a hat, and you happen to look stunning in hats.
And I'm a hat person, so
yes, it was easy.
It was easy to cover it and easy to make it look just natural. And I think you also captured in the way you did the wigs and the halo my kind of energy and how I dress, and my whole sort of kind of eclectic way.
That's right.
And so it wasn't all of a sudden wearing something that wasn't you. This is exactly me. So it wasn't put into something, and I think it's almost imperceptible that you can see it's anything but me.
That's right. My hair. And Marilyn, Liz and I focus really on each person as an individual, and we try and on a holistic level work with the wigs to be able to recreate an easy journey for each and every person. And you've really just journeyed through that so well, and it's resonated so well. And so this little halo, obviously Marilyn, even though she had a lot of hair, she doesn't have enough hair to be able to produce a halo of this magnitude as well as a full wig. So what Liz and I and a team of volunteers do, we go off to the high schools and we ask the girls to donate hair. So if you have a look, we've actually loaded Marilyn on our app titled Hairs with Love. And if you go in either as a general visitor, you're very welcome. And you can actually trace this story that we're chatting about here today. And you can also see if you were maybe one of the girls who donated hair. You see on the app, each and every person is actually loaded. And as well as their donation.
Yeah.
So did you feel that connection helped resonate with you?
Completely. You know, when I realized this sort of generosity of emotion and love and just wanting to share something special with people, all those girls, you know, they give their hair so selflessly.
So selflessly, and with such love.
Absolutely. And that became such a meaning. It didn't feel like getting some sort of kind of non-identity piece of hair. Each one of them, you felt as though you've been gifted. And I think that was an incredible feeling as well.
Good.
Yeah.
And you know, each and every strand of hair is not colored. It is actually chosen specifically from our stock to work with you. And one of the privileges of working with hair as a medium is that it actually does almost speak to you. It has an energy of itself, of its own, and it's lovely to be able to place it with someone like yourself. So let's go back to energy. I mean, let's go back to the good things, the things that come from the soul. And I think that you've been able to, from what I've witnessed, tap into that. Do you mind sharing?
No, I'd love to. I think that first of all, I always thought of myself as this indestructible human being. So I was sure that none of this will ever befall me, as I'm sure most of us do. But I never chose to even be wary of it or talk about it. You know, it was like a forbidden type of subject in my world. And when it happened, and it was almost like in a heartbeat, so I went from being completely whole with no operation and no diagnosis, say on a Monday, by the Wednesday I was this fully operated human with a very different immediate life to take care of and well-being and everything. So I think and it's a huge big shock, you know, it really is. And I realized that the only choice for me, and I'd like to think for most people, is to just look at it as just a different way of life, and not to label it as something that's wrong with you or that something's befallen you. So just take whatever you've had and what
to
the
surrender
tools,
almost.
absolutely, and to only surround yourself with positive energy, positive people, and not over-investigate. Don't make it a topic of conversation that is for everybody and everybody else to analyze your story. It's your story, and it should be private, and you should use the tools that you're comfortable with, which I did, which I'll tell you a little bit about, and make the internet a kind of a bit of a forbidden tool, because more or less, you know, unless you're looking at diet and this, and everybody's got a different opinion, but if you're actually looking up your diagnosis and trying to read stuff into it, I don't think any of us are able to do that successfully, and I think it creates an enormous amount of anxiety because you start resonating with things that don't even belong to you, you don't understand, and it just becomes a whole
downward spiral,
and so I was very lucky, and I've, in my life I have been exposed to different types of therapy. So in choosing somebody to help me in my journey, other than going to chemotherapy treatment, I decided to carry on using the person that I have a life, kind of like a 10-year relationship with. So she's an integrated medical person. So there's a lot of meditation, a lot of all nice positive things that make you feel whole and direct you to the things that you might not know what to do.
What sort of examples have you had there?
So for example, with this particular person, firstly, she knows me well, so she knows my kind of character. But lots of the things the thing I was scared about was looking at this person with no hair, and I had these images of these like spooky kind of memories of a mother and sister who had died of cancer. So I had to, the primary thing for her to teach me was to say goodbye to those images, not to say goodbye to the person, but to the images that were frightening me. And she said, and when you look into the mirror, don't look at this as your image. Look into your eyes, right into your own eyes, and look into your soul, and look, beyond that obvious, physical being.
I think sorry to butt in, but what Liz and I became aware of is that Boo's eyes almost sparkled through the journey, and you could see that the outer shell of her hair, her body. I think it's Rumi or Rami, I can't remember, who says, I am not this skin, I am not this hair, I am the soul that, yes, Rumi, that lives within. And that, I think, really is what has been, you're living that.
Yes.
And that's what I'd love you to continue to tap into, because, and to share. So.
And then I have another privilege of doing healing with also very experienced meditation yogi type person who also heals with crystals.
Okay.
So, but with this, it's not just crystals, it's meditation and then, stretching yoga as you get stronger, but just embalmed in an atmosphere that only just absolutely is filled with positive and, so I don't go there thinking, oh God, I'm doing this for anything to do with cancer or chemotherapy. I do it because I'm actually making myself better.
And you're being
for my future.
By this beautiful energy.
And it's part of my new journey, and I'm lucky to have all of these things. And so those are wonderful.
So those are some of the tools that you've been using.
Absolutely. And then I decided all I'd ever really heard were very negative raps about chemotherapy. A lot of which I must say were, people that had many years ago, and there's been such a incredible progression in the scientific world of chemotherapy, and whilst it isn't wonderful, I chose to choose my oncologist very carefully, and that I chose somebody gentle.
Resonates with your soul.
Absolutely. And I then thought, well, how am I going to get through this chemotherapy? Because just the side effects and this, that, and the other. And I decided to make it like I was going for treat it as going somewhere, like you're going for rejuvenation or regeneration of your youth or whatever it is, and what this thing going into was just going to be the elixir of life. And so
so thinking positively and almost manifesting your own truths, and claiming, it sounds like to me what you've done is there's a lot of mind power and a lot of mindfulness, really.
And I think also, I think and I must mention this because I think it's so important, I think eating properly, diet,
really important.
And keeping up your sort of calorie base, and not so that you're not losing weight and all that sort of thing. And I think I know a lot of people that perhaps still do get sick having chemotherapy. I've been very fortunate. I haven't had any of the typical side effects. And I think it's because I've worked on I've just kind of got into a place where I'm able to just bypass the obvious, because I think I'm working against it. That's how I feel. Maybe I'm lucky, who knows? But I think a lot of it is how you are and how you walk into that room and how you receive the treatment.
That's right.
And
make it your own journey, so you control.
Yes. So for each treatment I have, I don't anticipate the next one. So if I've done 3, which I have, and they've gone well, I hope number 4 will be the same. But I'm not thinking, and I'm not reading up about is number 3 or 4 worse, etc., etc. So I definitely distance myself from information overload.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that Liz and I have experienced, Boo, is, Liz has been in this industry for 50 years, and I've worked with her for 30, so it's a good few combined years. And one of the things that we hear women and children share with us is that somewhere in the journey, there was a silver lining, and they don't want to ever have to repeat what they've been through, but to have gained what they have was worth it.
Yes.
And I myself haven't had to experience the treatment of chemotherapy, but I certainly have had my own challenges. And out of that came a blessing of a silver lining. And have you been able to, at this stage, maybe tap into yours, or is it still unfolding?
But I think both. I think my son asked me an interesting question. He said, "Are you less happy now than you say you were 3 months ago when you were, started this different journey?" And I said, "I have different emotional feelings, but less happy, no." And I said, and I don't look entirely to the future. I mean, I believe that I am being healed. And I think that you so open yourself to not just stumbling along in the world. So you become very conscious of everything you do on a daily basis, how you think, and to also just minimize any negative emotional feelings, about being judgmental or picking up on things and
not sweating the small stuff,
consuming unnecessary stuff,
and being selective
and
with what
focusing
you're going to.
on yourself and making it primarily about you.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I think as women we're very quick to make it about everybody else.
Absolutely.
I think it's a mother's thing.
You forget to nurture yourself.
Yes.
So
so that's I think a very good message as well.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you're actually about to start this journey or whether you're watching this video and it resonates with you somewhere, we need to stop, as difficult as it is, and make it about ourselves. Because without that core person, there will be no family, and there will be no successor to that family.
And I think also, how we, I'm not an expert by any means, but I've been taught to some degree that breathing, to learn how to breathe, is what actually defines your focus to some degree, and it slows you down. So instead of being this in this whirlwind of adrenaline and carrying on and having to do everything and being this icon of craziness and having to please and having to do, I think you have to just kind of slow yourself down and just focus on your own self. And it's amazing how people then gravitate to you in a different way because they see this difference. So it's a calming feeling. So instead of the people around you being terrified for you, it's kind of changed my relationship with my children, my people that are close to my small sort of circle. And I think that's very important.
Yes, well, I think you're living the example, and you're walking the talk.
Yeah. And
I think what's for me very interesting is that not once have you said fight, or there's been nothing of anger. So there's been no, I'm going to win, I'm going to, fight. I see in you that you've actually allowed it to pass through you versus resist and fight.
Yeah.
And I think that in our experience anyway, on every level, is actually a better way, if possible, to try a journey.
Yeah.
It certainly does make everything else easier. And for those people around you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Boo, thank you for this. Thank you very much.
And being in your environment, it was just so warm and so comforting, and I had no idea what these wigs would look like. In fact, I just imagine these, like clumping on your head, and I thought, and when I saw them come out, I thought, my God, that's me. It was unbelievable. And you have a beautiful little sanctuary there.
Thank you.
You make everybody feel so lovely and warm.
Thank you.
And that's important. I think it's very important where you choose to go and have X, Y, or Z done, including wherever you have to have your treatment. I chose not to go to in a hospital environment, so my medical place is in a house type of thing. And I think that all of these things add to the sort of like gentle pot that you need to expose yourself to.
Thank you.
Okay.
All the best.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.